Okay, so this is an in-depth dive into some really poor quality journalism I found in, guess what, the Daily Mail. Basically, 2 police officers were waiting for a woman at her house for 5 hours, and during that wait, they watched TV and lifted some of her dumbbells. And as per the Daily Mail, rage-inducing clickbait machine,
women to say, oh, you're 5 feet on dating sites? You should be dead? That's okay? Shut your mouth. You're not God or my father or my boss.
And as per the Daily Mail, rage-inducing clickbait machine, they want these police officers sacked. They want their heads on a spike. And then you think, okay, they've invaded this woman's privacy. They've messed with her stuff. They've lifted her dumbbells. That's not okay for the police. And then you read the story, and of course, it's entirely different. So I'm going to do a deep dive into this. The police had been called on a mental health check for a 21-year-old mother who was supposedly missing and a threat to herself. This was in the UK. They arrived at her house at 10 p.m, and the 2 officers were told to wait there in case she returned. She was missing somewhere. And the officers did. They waited, as per protocol. And the TV was on, and you know what? They were there for hours. They got the remote, they flicked through. I think they were trying to look for an episode of Come Dine With Me, which is kind of hilarious and good advertising for Come Dine With Me.
See what that tastes like.
Meanwhile, the woman was in the woods undergoing a mental health crisis. She called the police to her own mental health crisis and then fled into the woods because she didn't want to be found, saying she had taken an overdose. Eventually, a police sergeant got her on the phone because she'd got an alert on her phone that her CCTV cameras in her house were recording the police watching her TV, and she was unhappy about it. So she was on the phone in the woods having a mental health crisis, telling the police sergeant, hey, your officers are in my house watching my TV, that's not okay. And the police sergeant meanwhile was like, hey, where the hell are you? You called us for this mental health crisis, stop hiding. Eventually she was tracked down at 4 a.m. using police helicopters. So the officers were there for 4 hours. And to be honest, what the hell else could they do? The TV was left on and it's not like they could do police work. Why? Because there was cameras everywhere. So what's the right thing to do in that situation? Stand there dead-eyed looking at a wall like a zombie because that's what every public servant is meant to do? What else could you do? Bring a book with you on any urgent mental health call out? Hold on, sorry about your overdose, I've just got to flick through my selection of Terry Pratchett. What should they do? Or how far could they go the other way? Is it okay to watch Netflix? Is it okay to cook yourself a nice meal? Maybe run yourself a bath in her house? Where's the line? Actually, I found a great Reddit comment by another UK copper who said it happens all the time. He said he's frequently called out to people's houses. One time he was called out to a house where there was a dead body in it. And he called the morgue and said, hey, come pick this up. And they said it would be 2 hours. So what did he do? He sat there and he watched TV. Probably a lot healthier for him than scrolling on his phone. So the end of the story. The woman was found after 4 hours in the woods. She refused to get in the police car and was arrested for wasting police time since she was the one who called them out. The story sort of gets a little bit vague there, so I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that she was in a mental health crisis. But then later she files multiple complaints against the police. She says she feels her privacy has been violated by the police, who she called out to her house. And I don't want to point blame, but if you call someone to come and find you and then go and hide and then complain to them, what are you doing? Why is everyone so keen to report on each other? Why does she so want these police officers to get in trouble? What's she going to gain from that? Well, the Daily Mail clearly think there's a lot to gain from it. Another case of all cops are bastards. There's always a bad guy to the story, or they always have to invent one for clickbait, outrage, ad revenue. There's even a little bit in the Daily Mail article that says, if you know these cops, email in. Because we live in 1984, where everyone polices on each other and informs. And you know, the culture of informing on others is necessary for any totalitarian regime to function. And I despise that we seem to be heading that way. As I've been editing, I found some versions of this story online which have been firmly anti-police. And I do understand that case. This video is not copgander, it's not pro-police, this is not a pro-police channel. In fact, I've done many videos on all the times the police have failed, and there is a lot. But I think if anyone is either completely pro-police or anti-police, they're falling into black and white thinking, and like every human endeavour, there are grey areas. But the Daily Mail has no time for grey areas. You see, they either hate or love the police, depending on the story and what they think will generate the most clicks to get the most ads. The woman, who by the way I'm not going to name because I don't like doxing in any shape or form. No one should have to suffer through that. The woman's outrage may come from some of the things the police did or said. For example, some of the comments they made were not entirely professional, such as saying, quote, "We know you're watching us," when they found out she was watching them on CCTV. To be fair, if I'd have been there for 3 hours and then I heard that the woman is hiding in the woods watching me on the CCTV, yeah, I might have made a snide comment. I think this whole story forgets the fact that the police are human too. What really prompted me to make this video was the fact that days later she reported on them, she informed on them, and I'm trying to think of reasons for this. One, she could be extending her 15 minutes of fame, backed by, say, journalists who want to ride on her coattails in the outrage. Two, it's her attempt at getting charges for wasting police time dropped. 3, she genuinely believes the police have wronged her here by coming to save her in a mental health crisis, waiting to safeguard her, and while they're doing it, they watch TV. Give some humans some leeway, not everyone's a robot. 4, it's a result of this informer nation we're becoming, propagated by tabloids like the Daily Mail. See, the Daily Mail is no longer in the business of truth. I don't even think it's in the business of money anymore. Now it's in the business of rage.